Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
What is one to do with an old and worn out tallis gadol or tallis katan? Talisim become yellow, become worn out, and drive us to buy new ones, and the question is asked, what do you do with the old ones? How long do you have to store it for? Can you throw it in the garbage? Does it have to go to Geniza, which usually comes with some kind of payment? What do you do with old talisim? So we find in halacha, regarding this matter, a discussion of three different cases. Number one, a kosher tallis, a tallis that still has kosher tzitzis attached and you just don't use it anymore due to the wearing out. Number two, a non-kosher tallis, either that the tallis has torn in a way that invalidates it, or that its tzitzis are puzzle. And the above is regarding the beged itself, the actual clothing that you wear, while the third aspect discussed is the strings. What do you do with a torn or removed tzitzis string? So we have a clear ruling in the Mechaber Shulchanaruch, chapter 22, halacha 2, likewise recorded in the Alter Rebbe Shulchanaruch, same place, 21:2, that a kosher tallis, meaning that the tallis still has kosher tzitzis attached to it, but it's worn out and you don't have a use for it anymore, must be separated from any use. You can't use it to clean a spill, you can't use it for a belittling activity. And thus, based on this, it's understood that it is forbidden to throw it in the garbage, where it considered a bizayin, a belittling activity with the tallis. Rather, concludes the Shulchan Aruch, one is to throw it aside and allow it to deteriorate on its own. And this applies for all talisim, whether a tallis gadol or tallis katan, whether it's made of wool or cotton, rabbinical, biblical, it applies to all talisim that we have. So in short, a kosher tallis gadol or katan, the halach in Shulchan Aruch is you put it aside until it deteriorates, you can't throw it in the garbage. Now it can take many, many years for something to deteriorate, sometimes generations. Do you really have to save up all the talisim for hundreds of years till they finally disappear in deterioration? That's what the halacha seems to say, but it's a little strange. And the answer, the above is as we emphasized in reference to a kosher tallis that contains kosher tzitzis. If the tallis is no longer kosher, then since it can't fulfill right now the mitzvah, it doesn't have the same severity and stringency of the previous scenario discussed in the Shulchan Aruch. And it may hence be discarded even in the garbage. So explains the Mishnah Brura in 21:13, in the Kaf HaChaim, and in chapter 15, halacha 12, and other poskim. Nonetheless, it's proper, it's a nice thing to, instead of throwing a garbage, put it in a bag and throw the bag with the tallis into the garbage. Now, what about the strings? We said earlier there's a difference between the beged and the strings themselves. Sometimes a non-kosher tallis still has strings attached. Only one corner became puzzle, and it still has all the strings attached. So regarding the strings, we find a discussion in the Shulchan Aruch, chapter 21, halacha 1, that even removed strings or torn strings that are no longer fulfilling the mitzvah, some opinions hold, should be placed into Geniza and may not be thrown into the garbage. And as the Alter Rebbe concludes, one who is stringent is blessed. And practically so is the minhag. We do not throw tzitzis strings into the garbage, rather we save them in a non-belittling area, or we place them in Geniza, even though min adin you don't have to. So based on this, even if one has a non-kosher tallis gadol or tallis katan, he still shouldn't throw it in the garbage, not because of the tallis, but because of the tzitzis, of which we are accustomed, as we said, not to throw it in the garbage and do a belittling act with it, even though min adin it's mutter. So the answer is very simple. Take off the strings. Take the strings off the non-kosher tallis. Throw the tallis in a bag, throw it in the garbage, and take the tzitzis as we're accustomed. Put it in a non-belittling area, or put it even in Geniza, even though you don't have to min adin. Now the question comes up, which is our final point. We have a kosher tallis that's worn out. That's it. It's kosher. Has kosher strings. I could technically wear it. I don't want to. It's worn out. The original halacha is that a kosher tallis may not be thrown in the garbage because it still has its mitzvah effective to it. Can I go ahead and remove the tzitzis strings for the sake of being allowed to then throw the tallis in the garbage and put the tzitzis strings themselves in a non-belittling area or in Geniza? The problem that is raised in doing so is that it is forbidden to remove kosher tzitzis from a kosher tallis, unless one intends to use these tzitzis strings again for another tallis. What if I don't and I just want to get rid of it all? I'm doing this simply to throw the talisim out. Practically, the Mishnah Brura in chapter 15, halacha 3, in the name of the Artzis Chaim, and so is also the Kaf HaChaim and others, write that although in general it's forbidden to remove tzitzis from a kosher tallis, that's only a tallis that you plan on still wearing. However, a tallis that's worn out and you no longer plan on wearing, it is permitted to remove the strings and then throw out the tallis into the garbage and place the tzitzis strings in gniza and the like. And the original halacha that says you have to put it away till it deteriorates is only referring to if you don't desire to remove the tzitzis strings from the tallis. Nonetheless, as they conclude, in such a case it's better rather than cut the strings with a knife, you should untie the strings or cut off the corners in a way that the strings themselves are not destroyed. So to summarize, what do you do with your old talesim, talis katans, and talis gadol? You remove the strings from them, whether they're kosher or not kosher. You put the talesim in a bag and you throw it out. In the garbage even. What do you do with the strings themselves? If they're kosher, you can choose to reuse them for another baggage. If you don't want to choose to reuse them, they're also worn out. Minadin, they too can go in the garbage, but the custom is to be stringent and be blessed, to not place them in a belittling area, and rather to place them in Gnisa.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at Shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.